So America, at least the last time I checked, is a capitalist economy. Yet many are critical of others' success. Could this be jealousy? Could it be a thought of unfair play? Well, how about the Clinton success? How was their wealth gotten? Was it corruption? Was it hard work? Was it ill-gotten gain or just dumb luck? Theirs or America's? Colin, what do you think?
Well, I generally try to avoid doing so, but since you ask...
Okay. We know you're a Clinton fan.
Well, I wouldn't quite go so far, but in all honesty, you're talking about somebody who... And I happened to hear a piece about Hillary Clinton recently, so I may sound a little bit better educated than I necessarily was a few days ago. She grew up in a suburb of Chicago. Her dad owned a drapery store. So we're talking about somebody who was not born into wealth, as some of the other candidates have been. Obviously, her husband is an ex-president, so there's a certain amount of influence that comes with that. They run a foundation. In all honesty, I think it's a little bit of a red herring to talk about the Clinton wealth when we have other candidates that have a lot more money and influence, and we're born into it. I think that there are plenty of criticisms that can be had when it comes to policies, when it comes to philosophy, without getting into something that's completely meaningless. If we want to have a debate about the impact of wealth in American politics, maybe we should be looking at super PACs and at some of the billionaire money that's being spent on both sides that is having much more of an impact than any particular given candidate may have.
Bob, would the level of concern about the Clinton wealth be the same if she and Bill hadn't thrown in our faces 2, 3, 4 times that they were poor, they got to pay the bills,
and they left the White House broke? Right. Blah 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 blah.
I mean, does that weigh into the press that they're getting?
You know what? And I want to say this. I don't care. Have the right to talk about pay equality,
but
because you've never suffered that pay inequality yet.
Well, they may have as younger.
No, I don't believe so. Even if her dad owned a drapery store.
Well, but let me interject for a second. As a candidate, however, it's not necessarily a matter of personal opinion, but you're speaking to the voting public. And again, I'm not necessarally defending.
So you're lying. You're saying something that you yourself have never experienced and really can't relate to.
Well, she was a lawyer prior to being famous and being married to Bill Clinton. So did she experience it in that position? I don't know. I don't know for a fact. So, regardless of what pay level you're at, so you could be talking about somebody who's a CEO of a company. Yes, they're making a lot of money. But if they know that their peer, who happens to just have a different gender than they are, is making 40% more for no basis other than the fact that they're a different gender, then the pay level becomes a little irrelevant as to the inequality or to the equality conversation. And I think still, if she's going out and stumping and saying that I've been a victim of this, that's one thing. But if she's making a statement that as a society we need to figure out how we address this disparity, then I think that's a little bit different.
I agree with that, but for the fact that in the staff under her guidance at the White House the females were making 70%, as I understand it, or somewhere around there, of the wage that the male in the same job or in a similar job was making. So I think at some point we have to practice what we preach.
And you're absolutely right. And that is, I think, a valid criticism that can be brought to bear.
Well, hey, it's no secret. I don't like Hillary Clinton, okay? And still, to date, I'll go on the record of saying this, there's still not a candidate that I favor for president. So
the field is somewhat barren.
It is. It's definitely not the Donald. I don't know. I mean, I need a candidate, and Hillary can't do this for me, and I understand that. I need a candidate who can capture my attention and speak of the things that I care about at my level. Okay, so. As soon as that candidate finds its way to the stage, they'll get my support. But as of right now, it's not there for anybody.
Well, and from my perspective, again, going back to the very first sentence in this segment, this is a capitalist economy.
Right.
And the only thing, and it's a matter of supply and demand, and apparently she and Bill are in high enough demand that they can.
Well, see, I can't believe anybody pays to hear her speak.
Well, that's another
thing.
question. But the point is, people pay $500,000 for Bill. That's their choice.
Sure.
It's their money. They can spend it as they wish. But I'm going to take the last word on that one. So, guess what? At this table, we have entrepreneurs in the city of Hagerstown. We have a former mayor, and I think we all own property in the city of Hagerstown. What are our ideas on how the revitalization could move into a faster pace? We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay tuned.